it's good to see you right here on Your World, and it is Mindful Monday, and today we want to start with a conversation that really each and every person should be talking about, and this is as far as masculinity and vulnerability is concerned. And what we want to understand is it possible to be both, okay? To be masculine and still be vulnerable? And are there safe spaces or safe places where men can actually, yes, be men, but also be vulnerable at the same time? So it's going to be an amazing conversation because, again, historically, men have been expected to fit a social construct of being strong, tough, and resilient. But the biggest question is, what is the impact of the fact that we expect them to be men? And even for the young boys, they're always told, you need to be a man. And this is a conversation that I want to believe we started like 2 weeks ago, where we talked about, men and being a man and what exactly is it, being a man, and also their mental health. But today we also want to understand masculinity and vulnerability. Is it possible to be both? And if so, do we have that safe spaces for men to, be vulnerable at the same time? And how are we responding to the same? It's a lot that we're going to discuss for the 2 hours that we'll be here, right here on Your World. So be part of the conversation by engaging with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. Now, today we are at a very different location, and I know some of you are asking, where exactly are we? Well, we are at ZTech University, and we have some of their students who are our audience members today. Now, they have a lot to say, okay? So we'll listen to them and also answer all their questions. But really, we are at ZTech University Technology Park, Mangu campus, and this is the seat of the university. I was asking, is it the seat of the university or is it the main campus? They said, no, it is the seat of the university, and it hosts ZTech University's Institute for Aging Studies and Center for Data Analytics and Modeling. It is set to host the School for Health Sciences, Medicine, and the School of Law in September. But to my guests, all right? So we have Kagondu Jr. with us. He's a counseling psychologist, an award-winning author, a book called Becoming a Man, and also a men's mental health advocate. Good to have you.
Pretty nice.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Listen, there was a memo, There's a memo. Today we are in blue. Remember last time you guys had blue?
Yes.
And I was like out of place. Yes, but now I'm in blue.
It's Monday blues.
Monday blues,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But well, we'll try turn the Monday blues into Monday. Now, so
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Yes.
Yeah. I was about to okay, listen, the conversation continues.
Yes.
All right. We have a very simple question for you this morning, and that is, if you could redefine masculinity, all right, in one sentence, what would it be? Okay, the question of the day is, if you could redefine masculinity in one sentence, what would it be? And like I said, engage with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X. I really want to hear what you have to say. I can see a number of you. Someone actually says, expound on the vulnerable. But we have Kagundu here and Frank to tell us what exactly does vulnerable mean. And that is Otosh on Facebook. And then Dominic Langat says, a man should always be masculine. Ladies love masculine and strong men who can protect them. So really, where is the balance? That is the question that we're asking today. And to also help us with the conversation, we have Pastor Frank Kitonga, who's a pastor in Kife's ministry, Fort Smith, and life coach. Hey, hi. It's so good to see you.
Fantastic.
Thank you for making the time just in time when we were starting. Karibu sana.
Thank you for
It's
having
good
me.
to see you. And, like I said, we also have students from ZTech University, and we are in Mangu campus. So it's also good to see you guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope mko sawa. You're ready to funguka. Walisema hawata bosho. That is what they said. And there's actually someone here who's called Uncle Popcorn. Get to decide why Uncle Popcorn. Okay? But before we speak to him, Kagondu, can we understand that? And someone actually just asked, vulnerable. What exactly does that mean? And then they decide whether to be vulnerable or not, and whether they feel safe to do so.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pretty interesting space to be in, especially when you think about masculinity and also that element of being vulnerable.
Right.
And when you think about that space, this is where we are so in touch with our emotions and who we are, all right? But it's also very important for us to understand that it's very important for you to be in a space whereby you understand who you are, but do something about it in a positive way, all right? So this is where you hear people say, a man should not cry, a man should not expose their emotions, a man should not, be in a space whereby they look like they're weak, weakling, and especially when they talk about the issues that they face. And you hear people out there say that they are sissies, in fact, you are a simp. In fact, you should be celebrated during the Mother's Day, the women's...
Terrible,
you understand?
terrible.
And this being a Masculinity Monday, it's very important that we get to understand that it's very okay for us to be in touch with ourselves, okay? Because one, we are human beings. Okay, we are not robots, we are not objects who don't have emotions. And this is a space that every other man who is out there should be very comfortable with. In fact, it is not a definition of whether you're weak. You should not look at yourself as if you're weak. When you're okay to, expose and also express how you feel, all right? So that should be a confirmation that Frank and I, we are human beings. Yes.
This whole thing about, women are emotional, men are, what is it called? Men are very logical.
Logical.
Yes. And I'm like, but you have emotions, yeah? And don't you get angry? Don't you get sad? Don't you feel? All those are emotions,
They
right?
are.
They are emotions, and they should be validated.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank, can we first of all understand, the last time we were having such a conversation, we began by asking a man. Who is a man? How would you... And now that we're bringing in the whole aspect about masculinity, right? So from where you sit, a man or masculinity, I mean, how would you define it? Or what is that first word or sentence that comes to your mind?
I'm happy to talk about masculinity, but for a minute, I had to go back to this vulnerability.
Okay.
Because then the man is asked to be vulnerable, and they're asking, before I'm vulnerable, define.
What is that?
What are you talking about? The reason is men have been vulnerable. Men, in my view, men are open. They're willing to share their views. Okay. But you open and your heart, and it is used against you. It's turned against you. Okay. And over time, unajiambia ikitu. This thing of opening up. Let me show you another side of a stone. Okay. And so I understand when somebody is being cautious that, what is this thing called? So masculinity is our expression, like you'll say, what's the expression of femaleness? Although that's in our day and age, what is a woman is a big question already. But a man, we are clear what is a man. As in, you have the expressions of a man.
Okay.
Or the thing that say, this is now a man, in the picture. And obviously, our culture says a lot. It says it's a person who goes to work, it's a person who is a father, it's a person who is a protector, is like a provider, protector, and all these things that begin to denote what is masculinity. It also doesn't show from... Muscle is a good side to show men. Yeah, like if I'm here with you trying to pick up something, even if you're stronger than me, you're going to do like... Pastor Frank, Jibangi. And, there are also just innuendos in society that say what masculinity is in this society. And it differs from different societies. But generally, we are the ones who go to war. That has changed, but... there are many things that have defined masculinity. I don't know about you, sir, when Kagondo grew up, in Namatatu, there will only be men. So masculinity was for men. These days, vile batri napigwa 20. You turn on my... So I'm not even sure sometimes to this our generation, what is masculinity? How do I tell these young men what is masculinity? Because it keeps changing by society, by age, by season. But there are certain things about masculinity that we'll talk about that do not change.
Will never ever change.
Those are things
I actually hear what you're saying, because, and I'm pretty sure you've also had this conversation about, now women are more empowered and they're taking up roles that ideally, were meant for the men, and now the men are like, sister, where do we sit? I mean, like Frank said, gonga matatu na shanga, ni wanaume wamegonga mwanamke. So that whole aspect about that masculinity and it being lost versus, women taking up, and being masculine. Where is that? You're a psychologist. Help us now at this point before we talk to our audience.
There has been a bone of contention between what a man can do, a woman can do better, and we have seen our sisters coming out quite strongly.
Doing better.
Doing it better.
Yeah, like if you are keen and observant along our roads, who are driving the better cars, the best cars, the most modern vehicles, who are having the best jobs. In fact, studies have shown that the possibility of a lady getting employed is higher compared to, to the boy child.
And even the salary index that were released a few, I don't want to say weeks, like a month ago, where they said more women, are actually paid better than
exactly. And just the other month we're looking into GBV, the gender-based violence, and really do we get to appreciate that men can also fall victim to the same. We have survivors who are men. And this is just to help us really appreciate the space that you're in. I know my brothers and sisters here, like Pastor Frank is saying, there has been a lot of, we can say evolution, from time to time, and especially from one, culture to the other. And this is where we really need to appreciate the space that you're in. And especially in a space whereby we really need to, consider what it means to be, masculine, and also this element of being feminine, all right? And this is where it's also very important for us to also be in a space whereby there is the proper definition of all this. And the reason why you find that there's a tussle between how we conduct ourselves, how we should be holding ourselves, it's because most of our men out there, they really don't understand who they are. And this could be because that has not been planted into them. We haven't had a space whereby men can be taught on how to be one, all right? And like in a situation whereby we have ladies, I've seen aunties and grandmas playing a very important role, in the society, in the lives of our young sisters, okay? Why? Because for them, they're able to have a sitting with them and in a space whereby they're able to, guide them on how they should be conducting themselves. And to me, there could be an element of erosion in terms of how we perceive ourselves. Why? Because we don't have somebody to work with us and be in a space whereby we can be able to really understand who we are.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the message that is usually passed is be a man.
Be a man.
And then that's
okay.
You don't even know what be a bad
exactly. And I've seen even our fellow brothers, who is a father in the house, they don't have a single clue on how to conduct themselves as a father, okay? Yet when you look at their sister, especially when they're dating, you hear ladies saying, mimi nataka mwenye ni mtall, mdark, sijui na handsome, okay? They are quite
Unfortunately, we don't fit. It's terrible.
Especially hapo kwa kukua short. Okay, but for them they are quite clear and they're really in touch with what they really want. But if you are to ask a young man, what do you want? For them, it's something that they really struggle with. Telling you that sense of awareness is something that we really need to work on.
Yeah, they always say me, what a good woman. That's it. Define good. Okay, let's open the floor now. And I want to speak to the men because, today's conversation is really directed to the men. And also, again, we have young men and young women, with us today. So when was the first time you came across the term masculine and what was it about? Okay, I don't know who has the mic. Uncle Popcorn, unangalia mbali sana. Hi. Please, if we have the mic for you. All right, so we're getting the mic for you. So just tell us, when was the first time you came across the term masculine? And, what was it like? You've been told be a man, and all those things. And what was that like for you? Please start with your name.
Okay. Hi, my name is Elvis Oseko, aka Popcorn. So the word masculinity, I had it when I was like in class 1 maybe.
Class 1?
Yeah, class 1.
Hey.
If I recall. So the word for me was is having strength, like kuwa na nguvu as a man.
Okay. All right. Kuwa na nguvu as a man. That's it. Ukwa class 1.
Class 1.
Hey, okay.
So na ile aim ya kutuma kila siku nipe na nguvu mingi,
Okay, anybody else who wants to share? Oh yes, there's okay, yeah, go ahead and then yes, so start with your name and then tell us the first time you came across the term a man, I'm a man, be masculine. Yes. When was it?
My name is Pazum. So the term masculinity, I think I come across when I was in
Please hold the mic closer to your watu wa nyumbani wanataka kukusikia.
When I was in primary.
Okay.
So the definition of it was to be a man, you need to be like, when you are masculine, you need to be a man, like everything that you should do, you should not show weakness towards, let's say, like girls or whatever, or to the society. So it was like that, the way I knew. And as the time goes, I just get improvised on how it defines, like. So hivyo tu ndo I think kama kwa mfano kuna jambo lolote lenye maybe linakuumiza uwezi, au kama wewe unafaa tu umie kimwanaume, haufai kuonyesha tu kama kulia vitu kama vile.
Okay.
Yeah, so
all right, I see that, and we'll come back then to understand how has that affected you as a young man now, because you're not boys, you're young men. So how has that, that notion, be a man, you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to do this, you're not be a man. How has that affected you in one way or the other? Anybody else who wants to share the first time they actually came across the term be a man, and what did that do to you? All right, please start with your name.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
My name is Eugene Glennory. Well, the first time I came across the word masculinity was when I first got into the boarding sector in primary. My mom took me to school, and then I was about to cry because I was not used to staying in school, leaving my mom, parents at home. I was day schooling my whole life. Then she told me that, can I quote?
Yeah.
Aliniambia ati mbona unalia, kwani wewe ni mama, like acha kujifanya dem, you have to be a man, so enda shule usome, utakuwa unarudi nyumbani tukifunga. That's what she said. Like muscle up and you focus on your studies, then you will come back home.
Yeah. All right. I mean, clearly, and we'll come back to you guys now to understand how did that sort of like affect you or has affected you. It has up until now, but clearly, do we do this like subconsciously, or is it that we're trying to, what is it called, emphasize the point that you're young, you're a boy, you grow up into a man, so ni kama tuna prepare mapema, but because I do not want to rush you, let's go on a break, and then when we come back we'll pick up from there. And then Pastor Frank, I'm also curious to hear what you're saying, because even in churches, we still hear this, talks about being a man and how to be a man and all those things. So do we do them subconsciously, or is it to affirm that one day you'll be a man and you need to be strong? All right. But again, remember the question that we're asking you today is very simple. If you were to redefine the term masculinity, what would it be? I'll be looking at your feedback, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. If you want to share your story, maybe you have a story, maybe you're a time you tried to be vulnerable and maybe it was reciprocated or not, share with us as well. And we'll be looking at all that after the break. Stay with us. The show is Your World.
Nimeshapata wangu kipenzi cha roho yangu, ndio huyu hapa leo, namtambulisha kwenu.
Uko single, hapana, shampata wangu. Yuko wapi? Uone, nzuri twaendana. Uko single, hapana, shampata wake. Yuko wapi? Yuko wapi? Uone twaendana.
Je, uko single?
Hapana,
uko single?
Skiza na Nation.
Machi 7 tunasherekea wanawake, tunapiga hatua kwa udhabiti na nguvu. Chini ya anga angavu, tunaanza safari ya kusherekea wanawake wanaoongoza njia. Tunawakaribisha wanawake wote Muthaiga Golf Club kwa uzoefu wa kipekee wa mchezo wa gofu. Ari ya kusonga mbele imesalia nasi, tunapong'aa kwa mtindo wa kifahari na uzuri wa kipekee. Huu ni mwendo wetu, huu ni wakati wetu. Heri ya wanawake duniani.
The truth is not governed. The truth governs our beliefs, our faith, the trust we give, the democracy we seek. When held back, it always breaks free. Seek the truth. Set yourself free. Subscribe to read online at epaper.nation.africa. Daily Nation, the truth unfiltered.
Hustle is survival.
When a loved one's lost.
Catch these exciting shows only on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
Welcome back. The show is Your World. Of course, the conversation continues even during the break. And just in case you're tuning in right now, the focus of conversation today is on vulnerability and, masculinity and vulnerability. And we're trying to understand, is it possible to be both? Yes, to be masculine, but also still be vulnerable. And if that is the case, then do we have safe spaces? And we, as a community, as families, as a society, have we provided that environment where we can allow men to, yes, still be masculine, but also be vulnerable? So it's a whole lot of conversation that we're having today. And remember, we're coming to you from ZTech. I do not want to say my own things, okay? So it is called ZTech University Technology Park, Mangu campus, and this is the seat of the university, all right? And we're also having students, some of the students from ZTech University here with us to join in on the conversation. And on our panel today, we have Kagondo Jr., who's a counseling psychologist, award-winning author, Becoming a Man, that's the name of the book, men's mental health advocate. And we also have Pastor Frank Kitonga, who's a pastor in Keepers Ministry, Fort Smith. And right? Domo kidogo the thingy, and life coach. Good to have you as well with us this morning. We want to take up from that point of, do we do this thing subconsciously? Because someone said class 1, right? Amenda shule, the first day unapelekwa shule, then you cry, and then you're told, kwani unalia kama mama, Yes. And we're all guilty of this, one way or the other, whether men or women, moms and dads, and even sisters, to tell this young boy, well, you need to be a man. So do we do it subconsciously? It's sort of like to affirm them that strong,
Yes, and I loved the definition that we had from the beginning, where we appreciate that this is a social construct. The definition will arrive from how the society perceives, men and masculinity. And this takes me back to the days of our grandparents. If a family didn't have a boy child, then the old man will have a lot of issues. They will be very concerned because for them, they don't have kids. Then there's no continuity, of his generation, all right, of that lineage. And they will do whatever it takes to ensure that even if one of their daughters will get a boy, that boy will still remain behind as a heir to this old man. And that tells you that we have those social expectations of how we should be. And remember, the man is a provider. Man is a protector. So at the back of our mind, the parents, the society, the brothers and sisters, they are looking at this young person as the one to take over, if not to protect their interest, okay? And this is why you find that our friend, when he joined primary school, Pale nursery, and he was intending to cry, he's told to man up and not to show his emotions. Because one, a person who is a provider has to be quite firm, bold and brave. A person who is a protector, they have to be brave by all means. All right. So that tells you that from the word go, we have to be socialized in a certain way. So the question is it subconscious, or do we do it out of being very intentional with it? And to me, there's a lot of it's not even planned. We just find it flowing in us. Why? Because we have to mold this young boy into the man that we so desire.
Is that a problem in itself, trying to mold this young boy into a man? Why not just allow them to be kids and just be children, and do
Imagine
what
a
kids
society without men.
Yeah, we can't.
Imagine a society without warriors, without protectors, without providers.
Yeah.
And so by instinct, we are trying to project that society. And we know part of it. Many of us have grown up without fathers or without that example. That society is broken.
Yeah.
So the society is trying to create that picture.
But how
to do it sometimes is the issue,
Yeah.
but we cannot have a scenario where we don't really have men. What is that society? What does it look like?
Yeah.
As in, then we have people druggies, we have people who are not excellent in an area of calling or gifting. We have people who are not researching, people who are not excelling and creating beautiful things. Of course, that's also happening through the women.
Yeah.
But we now say we can't have a scenario where everyone is drunk, everyone is, they have no msimamo, they have nothing. Resilience is a key definition of masculinity.
I see that. My question is then, at what point do we start building that? Because if we start telling this child, when you're in grade 1, I'm in grade 2, I'm at a high school, and they're trying to show emotions that, hey, I am scared if you leave me, in school, I am scared. And the only way they know how to express that fear is by crying. And then we tell them, apana, usilie. Like, aren't we taking that emotional part away from?
Just quickly, I agree with you.
Yeah.
The how is the problem.
Okay.
And that's why we have experts, so that they can show us how do you communicate masculinity at a young age. For example, if you cry, is that okay? And is crying part of becoming a man?
A man, yeah.
Or not? Or when do you cry? Unalilia pali watu wakuoni. Lakini unalia vizuri. But watu wakuoni. So how do you now teach masculinity? And I'd like to say, I don't know if we're ready to start solving the problem, but I just wanted to say that there are many instructions about creating masculinity that is off.
Okay, I see.
Because that's when you get men saying, I'm a real man, I got money. I'm a real man, I slept with 300 women. I'm a real man, I did that. So you see, the definition, you got it wrong.
Yeah.
At some point.
Someone is laughing. What happened?
No, the women also say this, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm a real man. So what is a real man? That is the problem.
Yeah.
And because you are told don't cry, fix the emotion, kangumu, that's not really what it is to be a real man.
Yeah. And also you're okay?
No.
All right. Because then again, what you're saying is very true, that the only way for them to express who a real man is through quote unquote toxic ways and toxic behaviors and toxic masculinity. So then the question is, how do we, like Basi said, so how do we get it right? We'll talk about the how a little bit later. I want to understand from you guys. So then what did it do to you? Say, for example, when you were taken to school and you were crying and mom says, be a man, strong, utarudi nyumbani, sasa unalia nini? What did that do to you? As an individual, as a young boy, going in school, do you want to share? Did that affect you in one way or the other? Ama tu uliendelea tu kaende, Yes.
Literally, what happened was that after my mom told me that, I took my stuff, went to the dormitory section, and then came back and waved by. Then she said that, just for assurance, you can call me weekly, in a way. Weekly, every weekend. And then she said that, if I hear you are in any issue of, that you're in a problem at school, you can contact me. But it never really had an impact because I was still feeling low. For the first week,
All right.
I was in boarding. Then after that, I got used to it and continued this.
And then kaendelea too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah. We have a hand at the back. Please start with your name.
My name's are Oade Jad Regan. So on my own perspective,
Yeah.
if there's anyone who studied in Nyanza high schools, you have the experience on your own. So for me, it was like when you're in school, you just start from the word go from the first day, because from that night, you have to be, do I say vulnerable or masculine? Both. Because psychologically, you'll see what others are doing and know these people, they are so strong, you see? And from there, you just have to adjust, learn. Something else, when I was in school at that point, I can't remember, I misplaced all my trousers.
All right.
I had to go to class for the whole week with the truck,
All
the
right.
game skip truck. And people are like, nina kufanya, si pia utafute yako ulenzako ulichukua yako. So you see that, it makes you strong, both mentally, you have to survive.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah, and also here in campus, I know people are dating, such kind of things.
Yeah.
Some get broken. Someone can't come to ati, unajua nilikuwa broken, nini. Watu wataanza kusema, ukijana simp, you see? Yeah, so you have to be strong. As a man. So I think that's my real definition of
Do you feel
masculinity.
like, do you feel that pressure to be strong, even in those instances where you don't have any source of strength in you, or you're going through something, but just because it's been conditioned in your mind that you have to be strong, so you just find yourself feeling that pressure to always be strong?
You just find yourself fitting into the environment. You have to be strong. Somehow there is pressure, but at some point I don't feel it's pressure.
Okay.
It's just adjusting.
Yeah.
You just cope up with the environment.
Okay, all right. There's something that he brought up, survival. Survival. We'll address the survival part. Anybody else who wants to share? Yes, Kazungu, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Kazungu once again. So,
like in case you forgot, I am Kazungu. It's okay, go ahead, Kazungu. Yeah.
So, back then.
All right, Kazungu, please speak. Yes.
As what I've said, when I was in second now, there was that habit of other students, like they are misbehaving in one way or the other. Then I find it like it was paining me much. Then I had to go to my class teacher, Madam Winrose, and I expressed myself to her what I am passing through, and he gave me a solution that even though you're a man, but now something like sometimes you may feel like something that is irritating you. Let it just get out of it. Like if you need to cry, it is a way of relieving your pain.
All right.
So I had like, at least when I cry, when I cry, I feel like my pain is released. That's why. So that was my way of like surviving
Dealing
such
with
a situation. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you said, do you feel comfortable to share? I'm just curious in terms of what was it that you were going through and you shared and you were told, you know what, sometimes it's also okay to cry. It helps. Are you comfortable to share? No?
A lot of things.
A lot of things, okay.
Yeah, so I think I cannot mention all of them.
Okay.
Like number one.
The one that you can remember.
Number one, when I was just in class, I used to sit in front of the class.
All right.
So you may find a person from the back bencher. He took a paper and fold it and try to...
and hit you.
Yes. Then, you are concentrating on something. And at a time, you may find like you are not concentrating because of those people who are just doing that. Yeah, so there are just many.
I see.
That was just...
okay.
And sometimes people, like when I was just in Form 1, another person from Nairobi there, he went and opened my padlock and went with it without my consent.
Okay.
So I wonder, why is it that he's taking my padlock. Then I was like, it is the only one I know we have stolen. I feel much guilt. That's why. So I just find a place and start like relieving my pain, because that was the form of
the
relieving
only
my pain.
way.
Yeah,
Oh, I see. Oh man, I am so sorry. Is that why umetoroka kuketi mbele leo? Because I'm kidding. No, but I hear you. I hear you. Anybody else who wants to share? Okay, yes. Please pass the mic in front of you, Kazungu. Thank you. All right. So start with your name.
Okay, hi, I'm Joseph Mudachi, a student here. Maybe what I can say from my experience, like a man is to challenges, that's the fact. You just have to face the challenges, but you just have to take them positive as a man. Like many things do happen from my school to campus life, more so here, because here, you're not assured that you'll get food. No, high school, you go a lot of challenges, but at long last you have some meals you'll take. But here in campus, it's a bit tricky. Maybe if you have some challenges, maybe from home, you just have to survive. Like being a man is tough, but you have just to focus and just, like, for example, I can say, like my definition of a man earlier, like people do cry. It's a way of relieving, but as it was said earlier, a man should not cry. Mwanaume hafai kulia at all. A man is to solutions, and to protect. Like that's true. If it's a must, you cry. Like you just have to find a way, but not crying.
But can I ask? Can I ask you a personal question? Like, who said those things? Because remember, you said a man should. Mwanaume, you should. Who said you should do all those things?
Okay, the society. That's the
okay.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
also for my own, as I have been up to now, that's nothing. And unless if it's a solution, if you are crying, you'll be getting a solution. But if you find for ladies, you'll find like ladies attempt to suicide, but mostly men are the one who.
Yes.
That's true. Maybe
and
ladies are the one who cry. Maybe that's a solution. So men should also.
Like relieve your
ladies
pain.
cry, but they do not attempt. They attempt, but they don't do suicide. But men, that's as if it's tough,
like
it's tough. They just go and attempt the suicide. So for me, I'll just say there are a lot of things men should learn. Because there are a lot of challenges. That's sure.
Okay. I see that. And I will also be engaging the females, because, we live in a society. Men do not live in their own neighborhood and then female. You want to say something? Okay. All right. Go ahead, and then I'll come back to you, Kagondo and Pasi.
My name is Fiona Adhiambo, and I would like to say, being vulnerable, it helps men to be emotionally available.
Okay.
And it can lead to personal growth and self-awareness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable helps you to be emotionally available, because both are emotionally available. All right, Kagondo, so there's a lot coming from, from our audience, from, a man should, do this, to also survival mode, because so all these things, right? And how men have been conditioned, to be that expressing some sort of, vulnerability is, you're not, right? So what are we doing to this young men and young boys as well, even as we quote unquote teach them to be men?
I feel we are missing out on that opportunity to really experience who a man is, a real and authentic man, okay? Because like what we were sharing with Pasi, we are taught on how not to be emotionally in touch.
Okay.
We are taught on how not to speak, all right? But when we grow up, we expected to be emotional to our better half, to talk to them, and we are there outside complaining that our fellow men are not, expressing themselves, being very in touch with their emotions. So there's that bit of missing out on what a man can really do for the society, and the kind of an experience that you can have. Out there, we have very good men, all right? Men who can be able to take care of their families, people who are doing some amazing work out there, being very productive at the workplace and so on, all right? But the moment that we take that away from them, especially the human aspect, because remember, being vulnerable, to me, it is actually being a human, okay? You actually lose out on that particular bit.
Right.
So this is why you find that if a lady expects me to be, one, good looking, but still have some good amount of money in my pocket.
Your pocket should be
of course, Frank, Pastor Frank, and December, we can't fit in terms of how tall we are, okay?
Yeah.
But you find that out of that, this is where now toxicity comes in. Because in terms of reacting and responding to the issues in a negative way, okay? Because the moment when I'm not able to express myself, this is like, we can say pressure cooker, you know? You store a lot of issues within you, then within a short while, you burst out, with emotions, because emotions are part of you, okay? And this is where we find that there's a lot of hurting. We find that the domestic violence is quite high. Think of what my brother is talking about. The ladies are going to attempt more, but men are going to complete more in terms of the suicide attempt, all right? So we end up losing quite a big portion of our fellow men in the name of trying to make them look strong, all right? In the name of trying to make them, be very accommodative and all that. But we miss out on actually experiencing on who a good man is at the end of the day.
I see that.
Yes.
But see, what do you make of everything else that have been said today, from survival to, at least Kazungu had someone who said, you know what, it's okay to cry. It is still okay. But I want to believe most of the time you cried in isolation. Mutu asikuone, sindio? He says yes, right?
It's interesting the way they are playing on each other right now.
And actually others were laughing. And others were laughing when he said, I used to go and cry. And some of these guys were laughing.
The guy at the back started looking at him as well. No one wants to cry, to be seen to cry. So it's really, for me as I sit here, I'm wondering, these are my brothers, what have we done to teach true masculinity? And you realize that it is, there's nothing good that is learned unintentionally. For you to have positive growth, you've got to be intentional.
Okay.
What we've learned is what we learn negatively by default. You learn the wrong thing by default. For example, usilie. Usilie is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because who wants to be crying in front of his wife every day? Ati kumetokea shida. Wacha nilie mtoto ameenda hospitali. Really? Is that how we want men to be responding? Is that the purpose of the program? Ati we want people to be crying.
To be crying all the time. No.
What we want is somebody who will be in touch with the emotion and control that emotion correctly.
All right. Not run away from what they're feeling, but okay.
You can take the feeling, you can, you can harness it, and you can know, as I'm taking this emotion, what do I do with my life? How do I now, in the middle of the emotion, do the right thing? Saya kulia ni ya kulia, na saya kukua mwanaume, saya kukua mwanaume nimetoa kulia.
Exactly. I'm like,
so it's, and that's not the point is not getting men to cry. It's getting somebody, like she said, she spoke very well. Achieng, is that Adhiambo? She said it very well, that journey of the going into the internal process of beginning to grow inside. Because what is the point of having a well-grown man and a woman as well, who is a man in the physics, like this man, ni boys that is waangusha chini sasa. Lakini ndani ni ka boy. They have the emotion of a little child, but the body of a grown man.
Okay.
And the opposite happens for women as well. But since we're on the male topic,
yes.
So that question of what do we do to grow this inner man? To also have the emotion of a mature man, to have the emotions and the responses of a mature man. So that when something happens, I cry. Is that too subtle on national television?
No.
I cry. I do.
And it's okay to cry.
And I feel very bad when I cry.
Yeah.
And also, I feel very good when I cry. But I don't cry I'm in the middle of a crisis. Julia. No, but I do. I believe
but see, if that helps to relieve. You remember how we talked about toxic masculinity, saying, you know, manome is strong. It doesn't matter what you're going through, strong, you know. But then the way they express it, those questions, right, is toxic, right? That they end up doing things. Say, for example, we talked about cases of gender-based violence and all those things, just because they're told strong. You know, manaume, don't express yourself, usilie. But what if for someone like mtoto ni mgonjwa, at least anashed tu tia kidogo?
Why?
Pain.
Let me
ya
tell you,
mtoto.
I have 5 children.
Pain.
I have 5 children. If I cried every time they were sick, let me tell you, I will only be crying in life. No, what you can't live like that.
Yeah.
Let's not make men sissies in the aspect of trying to make a man emotional.
Okay.
Let's not tumefanya maboys wetu wote hata ball wakishindwa ball hakuna kitu kama hiyo. We can't live like that. Hiyo sio kwa wanaume. Let's just be real.
Okay.
You have to take it because even in a match, you're in a match, mmechapwa moja. The way you recover ndio mchape hao watu 3. How do you do that? You know you're losing, but sasa unajizatiti kama mwanaume, unajitokelezea, alafu unafanya job. And then you can make things because men are supposed to create environments. Sisi hatufai kukua. There's a difference between a thermostat and a thermometer.
Okay.
Sisi si thermometers. Sisi ni thermostat. Sisi ndio tuna change environment.
Okay.
So kama environment ni mbaya, unaingia kwa hiyo environment unaimake. Basi thermometer ndio kukulia. Every time ukiona acha tulie sasa mani walichapwa. Ni vizuri walichapwa lakini that's another whole story. You know, that's another whole story. Okay. I know I'm starting another battle.
Hapa tu watu wabani tasimama hapo walie. What will you do?
But we are saying that there's a balance to this thing. There's a place to take it in.
Okay.
But more our work is to make things happen. So you can take the emotion, manage it within, and do the right action. I'm very sad with what he said. He said, who said that wanaume hawacheki. Wakiamua wanachukua kamba. Wanawake wengine wanalia, anawacha acha tuogopa kamba. Wanaume I don't want my boys dying. I have 3 boys. This man, I want this. This is the future Kenya. Nani anataka kukufa hapa? Nyinyi mnataka kukufa? Hatutaki mkufe.
No.
So kama tuwafundisha how to deal with the emotion, then tuongee hiyo story so that these men survive.
Absolutely. And we'll actually do, because it's true, striking a balance, you know, is very important. Kagondo, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. But let me just be commented too from the question that we're asking today, and that is, if you were to redefine masculinity, what would it be? So someone here says, the only moment you as a man need to be vulnerable is when you are with your band of brothers, to a therapist, or to God. Never try this nonsense of being vulnerable with your lover. Oh, why not?
Nonsense.
Of being vulnerable to your lover. But I thought your lover is supposed to be your best friend. You know that they can...
What's a specialist out
All right. Someone else says... Hesau says, this is, the comment that I read was from Moses Gitau. This one says, this is Taylor Mond, who says, may God bless any man who's reading this comment. I'm a woman reading it, but God bless me too. Says, may you never lack in Jesus' name. Your family will be safe. Amen to that. Someone says, this is Kelvin Dema, who says, tunakufa ndani kwa ndani. And the biggest question is then how? How do we strike that balance that Pasi was talking about? Very important that, yes, get in touch with the emotions, but also... how do you move forward? You know, whatever it is, how do you move forward? Do you want to take that before we go on a break?
Okay. I think that's pretty good. And, you know, Pasi is being real. Yeah?
It's true, yeah. Kuna the idea, kuna the reality.
Okay. And the thing is, we don't want to live in euphoria where men have to, you know, mask and look in a certain way, you know, sit and look pretty.
Right.
But the thing is, it's good for men to really appreciate that we live in seasons also. Okay. There are moments where things are just okay, and there are moments when things are not really quite okay. Okay. But now the question is, when the rain starts beating us, what do? Where do we take cover? Okay. Because that's what makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Remember, the more we keep unto ourselves, the more we get to swallow those emotions, those tears, at the end of the day, that's when you find that you become toxic at the end of the day, okay? Because whenever I'm not able to deal with my emotions, remember, what I love saying is that emotions are forms of energy, okay? And you can never destroy energy. You only convert it from one form to the other. So the moment that I'm angry and I don't have a means and how to convert this anger into something else, then I'll end up hurting the person sitting next to me. And one day you find that for men, one of our coping mechanisms, it will be a flight and if not a fight, okay? So every other time we are fighting or running away from the situations, ask them, their buddies, in case they get a text, unajua ni aje, miezi mbili sijapata mgeni, you know, most of them, they just disappear, right? If not fight this particular kayanga, okay? Akimwambia, this is your fault, you're the one who put all this on me. And this is why we are saying that as men, we really need to have the understanding that it's very important for us to know that emotions should not control us, but we should be the ones to control the emotions. And whenever you go through a certain encounter, you really don't have to come out, you know, with a lot of machismo, with a lot of masculinity in terms of handling the situation. Because this is where you find that the difference between a lady and a gentleman in terms of how they handle the issues and on the element of suicide. A man will go to the tallest building, you know, to throw themselves down there. It's because for them, they want to be very aggressive, you know, with the situation and how they handle. And in fact, wanataka kubaki na jina. Unajua hakujua hivi hivi, yeye alikuwa very aggressive, okay? And this is why, yes, we are saying that it's good that we look inward. It's okay that we be emotional, but it's also very important for us to be very honest with ourselves. And by being honest, this is where we understand the seasons and also how to cope with these emotions in a healthy way.
I see that. Let's go on a break, and then when we come back, remember, you know, both of you have said strike that balance, but how? And also, when we're talking about vulnerability, most of the time we just talk about the sad, you know, the crying and all those things. But there are also these other emotions that needs to be tapped into, right? And joy, for example, because someone said wanaume wacheki, you know. So how then? How do ndani? Even when they're happy and all those things, right? So we're taking a break. Do stay with us. The question that we're asking you today is very simple. If you were to redefine masculinity, how would you do it? Or how would you want us to redefine masculinity? We'll go through your feedback and also engage more. And even on the young women that we have here, have you ever seen a man cry? And what was your first reaction to a man crying? Okay. We'll look into that after the break. Do stay with us. But again, if you have any question, you know, Pasi is here, and we have Kagondo as well here to answer all your questions. So we'll see you after the break. Stay with us. The show is Your World. All right, welcome back. The show, Uncle Popcorn hapa. It has a lot of stories to share. This Uncle Popcorn. Welcome back. The show is Your World, and we are outside. The conversation today is on vulnerability, masculinity and vulnerability, and we just want to understand, is it possible to be both? Yes, still be masculine, but at the same time, also be vulnerable. And the question that we have for you is very simple. If you could redefine masculinity, what would it be? Okay, and I'm going through our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya. This is on Facebook. This person says, it's nature. Anaitwa apostolic. All right. And is Ted on Facebook says, courage is not a quality in many people, and being vulnerable requires courage. Most men who walk around acting all tough is just a coping mechanism. It is fake. If you look deep in their eyes, you can only see a terrified little boy. Where? Hiya. Someone else says, in the wind and the nature is doing things because we're outside. Hiya. This is Mbogo Waweru who says, the vulnerability of a man can only be expressed before the church of men and his supreme maker. The rest of the world will see you as a clown performing in a circus. And then someone else here, this is Kelvin Munene Mugambi, who says, as a man, you should open up. You reveal, as a man, you open up, you reveal your weakness. You are smashed. Hey, and then another one here says, mwanaume hafai kulia, kwani sisi ni wanawake. This is Peter Kakedi. Peter, this is exactly why we're having this conversation today. And then Kenneth Werumwai, who says, open up and you will get hurt more. And Pasi, you actually said this when we started the show earlier on. So we were to pick up the conversation from what was said here. Now I've forgotten. The other one was myself, myself and I trust myself. I know myself better. So every time I feel any sort of emotion, could be happy, could be sad, could be anxious, I go to myself, right? And then the other thing that he said is, I can't say if I'm happy, the next thing that they always, gravitate to is what comes next. So they're not able to stay in the present. What do you make of those two? Please help. From a psychological
aspect, there's this phrase that they say, if you want to walk fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, have a team, all right? Yeah. And it's quite okay, with what he's saying. Yeah. And you see every other person is trying to look for means and how to survive, all right? And when we say survive, that will push us to that space of walking on eggshells. Because every other time you're so cautious, may lose out on that opportunity to really experience life as it should be. All right. Okay? Yeah, so it's one thing to go inward, but you can only go far. Okay. And especially where we say, yes, it's good that you look inward, but you need to be honest with yourself. Because most of us may not be that honest, and you require an extra hand, to walk with you and to help you really understand who you are. Remember that we live in duality. There's an aspect of feminine in me as much as I'm masculine. And that tells you this is why I'm also in touch with my own emotions. The reason why Winnie is very aggressive and bold in what you do, it's because also you have that masculine element in you. Telling you that for me to understand myself better, I have to have an honest conversation with you. And this is why my brother needs an extra hand. But of course, there's that element of not being a space to speak out, being afraid what other people are going to say. Because remember, a man's worst enemy, number one enemy is their fellow man, okay? And this is why you find that most of us will hold back from expressing ourselves because we fear how it's going to turn out to be. And like Pasi was saying, when you do so, you become the subject of, being bashed and the talk of town and all that. And maybe that's why my brother may also be limited. And are keeping their happy moments with themselves because they fear tomorrow may not be the case, okay? But the question would be, what does that rob away from you? That tells you that you may not have that encounter, have that opportunity to really experience yourself. And I remember just when we were in break, Pasi was telling me, there are moments when we have a lot of potential within us, but because we are afraid to come out and showcase this to the world, we only get to achieve a quarter of what we have, okay? And that should not be a limitation to who we are. We shall actually be brave enough and bold enough to come out and really showcase what we have within us. But all that said and done, it's good that we also get to appreciate that we also have different personalities. Masculinity, being a man, is not only defined by how strong we are, but also remember that there's that element of I have a certain personality. We have the sanguines, we have the phlegmatics, we have the cholerics, we have the melancholy, and probably a male may tend to keep things to themselves. When you talk about a sanguine, they will be out there expressing themselves, talking about the challenges that they are facing. If I wrong you today, the next minute you're just saying hi, because for you, umejiongea ikakutoka. Okay? So it's good that we get to appreciate that we have different personalities, and it could be of the things that is playing out, from the comments that we have gotten.
I see that.
Yes.
Pasi, again, still on the comments that were shared earlier on. Me, I ran to myself, and also, again, not being sure about what the future, holds, what happens after I am happy, or what happens after I am sad. What do you make of those?
First of all, we just have an amazing group of people.
Yes.
They are open, they are direct, they're speaking their minds. I'm like, I wish I was this bold in campus. We were too afraid to speak. So I have to commend that. The rest of the guys, Ngare, watu waongee, waseme ile kitu wanafeel, because then we can talk. come to hajaongea, we don't know what is going
What
on
exactly is
and we can't
happening?
fix it.
Yeah.
One of the things I can think of is maybe here people are about 20 plus minus. Yes, am I right? Yeah. We're just talking about at 40. Some of us are a bit above 40 now, but at 40, I was just wondering what is waiting for popcorn ahead, or not just you, brother, every other. Nini natungojea mbele as young men like this. Heartaches are just the norm. You have already experienced this, but I can think of some of the things I've gone through in my ahead of you is childlessness. We couldn't have kids the first 8 years of our marriage. I've experienced loss of job. I've been fired and hired and all that. I've experienced, loss of best friends, losing best friends. I've experienced, so all these things are waiting for you ahead. The question is, so how do I prepare for them?
Okay.
And now if you say, Mimi, the way I have fun is naangalianga tu watu wakicheka na wacheki naambia you have fun, or I do life alone. So mimi ndio najua. So how do I do life? So some of this we've tried, some have failed, and these are some views that I have now that I want to share that create safe spaces where you can be yourself. And one of them is seeing a counselor. And somebody say, mimi niende kuona counselor. Mimi nilikuwa kama wewe na nilianza kuona counselor. Na ilinisaidia. Because as a pasi, do you imagine what comes after you? Every Sunday, every week, every what? I'm a business leader. I'm a business coach. I'm a life coach. Do you think what comes to us every day?
Every single time.
As in, these things will hit your life. So create safe spaces. Somebody said among our viewers said, men talk among other men who they are safe. So if I'm with him and we've created a relationship, then we can talk. But we know the thing we are talking here remains here. So I can be vulnerable, I can be open. Not be vulnerable in the middle of the street on public, the way I see people are going on Facebook and say, oh, you know what, I was left on Facebook. Go create a safe space with your other men and you talk. Another safe space is your lover. I think that is a safe space. Now, it is unfortunate when your lover turns into, and that's why I'm saying, many relationships we treat them like a marriage. Unakatiana na mtu amjakuwa real lovers. Hiyo sio pali ya kukuwa vulnerable. Waache ifike marriage. Hii vitu ingine ipelekwe wapi? Kwa marriage. Hii mchezo ingine tunachezea hapa. Ndio kuna noma. Because you're being vulnerable in a place where tomorrow all your stuff will be in campus. Ama it will be in the office or in the whatever place. Create safe spaces where you can. You can now really express yourself so that you live to the fullest. You can't be thinking about, kesho, like he said, I can't have fun because I'm afraid.
I'm afraid
of
how long that will last,
My greatest, what do you call them? Like the person you look up to in life.
Role model.
Role model is Jesus. He wept. Who am
the
I?
shortest verse in the Bible that everybody knows. But yet we do not want to do.
No, but he also asked for help. He said, Lord, Lord, have you forgotten me? He's asking for help. He's actually crying out for help. He's giving me an example that I can seek for help. I can be touched by the needs of other people until to the point that it drives me to pain. And so it depends on who is your role model. My role model and his greatest influence in the world today, as we can see it, showed me the picture, guys, that you can express yourself. Another safe space is, we call it a place of worship. He says, I like to have my fun. I dance in church. And then that's a good place because when I experience the love of God, tears will fall through and that will not just touch my cheeks, but it will touch my heart because I'm connecting with God. For me, create safe spaces and then allow yourself. But outside the safe space, I will say, kangumu. Do not go into a competitive space. Jamaa mnashindana dem na yeye ndio unaenda kumconfess vile unapenda dem. Wacha hizo ufala. Wacha hiyo ufala. Kwanza unamchwenga, unamcheka, unamwambia wewe vile nakuchenga, wewe pitia hivi, mimi ndakutana namnunulia chips. Wewe enda kanunue mandondo. You know you are competing, you don't go and but when you're in a safe space, now allow yourself to live to the fullest.
I like that. I really like that. Kagundu, we'll come back to you again because I can see your time is far much spent and we also need to hear. So based on the conversation that we've had today, and I think we can all agree, masculinity and vulnerability, it's possible to be both, right? So the question is, how would you redefine masculinity based on what we have heard today? And I really hope that it has impacted your life, young man. Uncle Popcorn, why could you feature mic? I'll call you Uncle Popcorn until you speak to me. Yeah, but who wants to go first? Like, based on what we've had today, how would you, given a chance to redefine masculinity, how would you do it? Do you want to go first? You have the mic. All right.
Okay, my name once again is Mudachi Joseph. Yeah. According to the conversation we've had, masculinity is about strength. It's not about physical strength. You can have that strength to express yourself as a man. But also a man should be a man with vision and maybe a master of changes. Finding solution. That's why about crying, maybe what I can say, it depends with the situation.
Right.
But don't cry. If you have a solution, if there's an option, don't cry. And also cry if that thing will help you. If you'll cry and it will help you. For example, the reason why I can say men should not don't express themselves further, like kwenda kwa mtu kumaliza shida zake. You'll find like men different from ladies. You'll find like ladies are educated the same thing as from their children until they are raised up. You'll find that they're being educated and they know one thing. Maybe what she knows is the exact thing she knows in the same way. But a man, there are different versions of men. The way I am is not the same way he is. And according to the situation you are passing, like you just left as man. So just find yourself as a man, your version. So the reason why I can't go seek for, I can have a problem, I go to seek for some help from a man. The same, if I go to 10 men, there'll be different answers from them. But from ladies, they'll go seek, you'll find that from the 10 ladies, they'll seek for that help, they'll be almost same. So that's why you just have to find yourself as a man. A possible solution is yourself. Maybe for me, if I'm affected like with stress, maybe like you just take a break. Like maybe it's financial stress or something you're going on and it's not working. You just take a break from that. Then you see, maybe you can go sleep. Some maybe they go and take their best meal. Because you need like 10,000 and you have 100. You can't do anything. So that 100 goes at some smokies. You just find yourself what you love.
Okay. That's what I hear you. Where? All right. Anybody else? Okay.
Very well said. My name.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah, my name once again is Glenori Eugene. In relation to the topic, I would like to take this example of a motivational speaker.
All right.
Yeah, when you look at motivational speakers, they have a different flow of emotion when they are motivating. There's a time they are tough, and there's a time they open up fully.
Yes.
They tell you what they experienced and how they overcame it. Like both masculine and vulnerable at the same moment.
Time. Yeah.
So you see the balance. So maybe I think motivational speakers are a good example of people who can be masculine and vulnerable at the same time.
Okay. All right. I see that. Anybody else? You wanted to say something, right? All right.
Yeah, according to the topic, what I can say is, I think for men, as like anyone else, it's okay for them to be vulnerable because they will express courage and self-awareness, and this will grow deeper relationships with others and authentic self-responses.
I see that. All right. Anybody else? All right. She wants to say something. Okay.
Thank you once again. Naomi Siwareng here. Based on today's topic, I think I've learned something. Then I think for men, it's good to be vulnerable mainly because it helps us to show our emotions. And then it also a space for us and working relationship in case in the future, in the coming future. And I think they should create safe spaces for men, because I think most of them don't open up according to what I've heard from them. So I think they should create a space for them so that they can be free and air out their feelings and be free.
All right.
Yeah.
Both sad and happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me take one last one at the back.
Cheptum Mali.
Hi, I have not heard you speak. Thank you for speaking. Okay, go ahead.
Personally, I would say if someone is afraid of expressing themselves, they would rather go to God, because God will not come and tell other people that Marlene came to me today and said, oh, I'm sick, I'm going through financial problems, I'm going through a lot. No, if you go to God, He will listen to you and He will give you a solution to your problem. So it is not a must to go to men, because other people will go and tell maybe your friends, she came to me today and said she's going through financial problems. Sasa nataka nimsaidie aje. But if you go to God, He will give you a solution.
Yeah, and not tell anyone. Okay, all right. One last one at the back. Yes.
Jad again. On today's topic, I'm understanding that most men, not just men, but we are learning more about men's mental health, and this one should be changing the perspective that we have in the society, like how the society view men as someone who is strong, capable of doing something. They should just give us that time to express ourselves. Yeah.
I see that. Create those safe spaces that even if you see someone cry, the first reaction would be, "Ai, sasa wewe ukilia mimi nifanye nini?" Right? But get to understand, how we can help. All right. So then, as we bring this to a close, the whole conversation about, yes, create safe spaces, allow men to cry, find the balance, like Pasi said, don't be crying all over the place, all the time. Yeah. Find that balance and all. And maybe someone is watching us and thinking, how do I do it? We literally have like 2 minutes to close. So how? Help us with the how, and then also Pasi will help us.
Pretty nice. And I'm loving the conversation and the way it has unfolded. Yeah. Of course, striking the balance is the key. Yeah. But it's also good that we get to know that you can't separate you from reality, from what is happening. Yeah. And as we were saying, looking inward, but being very honest, it's good that we get to know that what works for me may not be what works for the other person. Yeah. And this is why we really need to really understand who we are and, of course, find a solution, if not a coping mechanism that is, of course, healthy, but which is quite helpful and working for me. The other thing is that as much as, yes, we are afraid to go to men, for support and all that, seeking support from professionals, that will be very important. They'll never tell on anybody. You never get to hear your narratives or your stories from out there. Ensure that you get support from a professional counselor, if not to the Kopasi Pia, for those spiritual guidance, and of course to be in a space where you can be able to get that support that you so need.
I see that. Pasi, you talked about safe spaces, and you've talked about, this environments, what to do and all those things. But then again, so us as a society, because again, like we said, even as women, we say, well, be a man, and when we see a man express their emotion, could be happy, could be sad, we're like, so then what role do we play as families, as friends, as women, as sisters, as girlfriends, as lovers, to offer that environment, okay? Because it's one thing to, yes, have the environment, but also, offering that environment. What role do we play as we bring this to a close?
Absolutely awesome. Be a woman.
Okay. Okay.
If you're a mom, be a mom.
Yeah.
If you're a child, just be a child. When you become you, I don't become you, I become me. But if you become me, now we are fighting for the space of who is now me and who is you.
Yeah.
And so I pray that just as we take the journey as men to be healed and to be restored, let the women also take the journey as well to be healed as women. Because anything you'll say to these young men that has hurt the young men, it has hurt the young women. And so you also grow bitter and painful and what, and you also go back to working on inside. And he said, talk to professionals, talk to pastors, talk to God, pray. I think that as a society, let's pray for the young men. let's pray for the men as well and seek supernatural help. I wanted to leave you with the definition of masculinity.
Okay.
And I know,
lest we forget.
Yes, because I don't want to grow sissies. These young men are not going to be sissies. These are the changers of the world.
Okay.
And these are my words to them.
All right.
This is what a man is.
Okay.
Is a person who takes initiative. The person who lives responsibly. Who leads sacrificially. Who loves faithfully. And who leaves a worthwhile legacy.
Wow. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the show. It's such a powerful to end the conversation. Thank you so much, Pastor Frank Kitonga, who's a pastor in Kiva's ministry, Fort Smith, and life coach. Thank you so much for your time, Kagondu. Thank you so much for your time as well, Kagondu Jr., who's a counseling psychologist, award-winning author. The name of the book is called Becoming a Man, and also a men's mental health advocate. Thank you so much for your time. Very, very insightful conversation today. And we're also giving us things to ponder on, as women, as sisters, as moms, as so that we also help our men understand that it's okay to still be masculine but also be vulnerable at the same time. But also a special thanks to this amazing Simplification Coffee Jamani. You've been amazing. You've made our show today, but also the fact that you're very open and expressing really what you feel, who you are, and how you're moving about this whole space about masculinity and vulnerability. Thank you so much as well for your time, and a special thanks really to ZTech University for hosting us today. And we're finishing the conversation at ZTech University Technology in Mango campus, and this is the seat of the university, and now it hosts the ZTech University's Institute for Aging Studies and the Center for Data Analytics and Modeling. It is set to host the School for Health Sciences and Medicine and the School of Law in September. So law, if it's your thing, or medicine, if it's your thing, then you know where to go to. All right. But for now, allow us to say goodbye. My name is Winnie Lubembe. On behalf of everybody who put together the show and made sure that it is a success, from my producer Mabel to our camera persons Fidel, as well as Gatwiri and our sound persons as well. We say thank you. See you tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Your World. But until then, stay safe and understand your dominant emotion. What I've learned today. See you. Goodbye.